Thank you for your interest in the STANLEY RS25. In this video, we will cover the setup and operation of the STANLEY hydraulic rail saw. Before setup and operation, make sure that all handlers and operators wear the personal protective equipment, PPE, mandated by railroad standards. If the saw is to be used in cold weather, preheat the hydraulic fluid at a low engine speed. When using the recommended fluids, ensure the fluid temperature is at or above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius, before operation. We will begin by setting up the rail saw and rail clamp. Examine the saw clamp and rail saw for any damage, missing components, or debris in the saw guards or flanges. Clear away any slag or foreign materials from prior use. Avoid using a saw that could compromise the safety of the operator or others nearby. If the saw is damaged or has missing parts, contact your STANLEY account manager for the nearest repair location by using the provided QR code. Before attaching the cutting wheel to the rail saw, check the wheel for any defects. Do not use a blade that is contaminated or damaged. Using the provided wrench, remove the jam nut and outside collar while holding the cutting wheel. Install the cutting wheel, ensuring the metal flange on the wheel goes in first, and that blotters or labels stay on the wheel. Reattach the outside collar and jam nut. Tighten the jam nut with the supplied wrench while holding the cutting wheel, ensuring it is tight enough to prevent the wheel from slipping between the collars, but be careful not to over-tighten the jam nut. Carefully place the rail saw to the side and inspect the rail clamp assembly. Find the section of rail marked for cutting. Fully extend the indicator rod on the clamp and place the clamp on the rail so that the clamp arms grip the top and sides of the rail, while the bell crank supports the underside. Slide the rail saw clamp along the rail until the indicator aligns with the cut marker. Secure the bell crank to the rail by turning the clamp screw clockwise until it is hand tight. While holding the upper link of the rail clamp assembly, release the detent by turning the knob. Move the lower link forward toward the operator until the detent can be re-engaged in one of the two holes away from the top dead center hole. This adjustment positions the saw so the operator can stand upright while cutting the rail and allows the saw to cut down the flange of the rail. To attach the rail saw to the clamp, insert the leading bolt from the rail clamp assembly into the pivot bracket and tighten it using the handle weldment. Before making any connections, wipe all hose couplers with a clean, lint-free cloth. Attach the hoses from the hydraulic power source to the hose couplers on the rail saw. Connect the return hose first and disconnect it last to minimize or avoid trapped pressure within the rail saw motor. Always start the rail saw with the cutting wheel positioned away from the work surface. Hold the assist handle with your non-dominant hand and the trigger handle with your dominant hand. Then squeeze the trigger to initiate the saw blade rotation. When using a new cutting wheel, let the blade run freely at full speed for a full 60 seconds before beginning the cut. This step is necessary to ensure operator safety. Begin cutting at the top of the rail, moving straight down while rocking the handle back and forth. Do not bump the rail. Feed the wheel through the material as quickly as possible without letting the wheel slow down. Cut down until you are near the flange. At this point, stop the saw, release the detent, and move the lower link away from the operator until the detent can be re-engaged in one of the holes away from the top dead center TDC hole. If the wheel is too worn to cut completely through the rail, loosen the clamp lever on the saw and rotate the saw to enable cutting from the opposite side. Adjust the lower link as needed and complete the cut. Turn off the power unit and disconnect the hoses, starting with the inlet coupler. Next, remove the saw from the clamp by loosening the bolt at the pivot bracket. Once the bolt is loose, take out the leading bolt from the rail clamp assembly and carefully set the saw aside. Loosen the bell crank by turning the clamp screw counterclockwise until you can remove the assembly from the rail. Store it in the same area as the rail saw. Once the cutting wheel has cooled, remove it from the rail saw by using the supplied wrench to take off the jam nut and outside collar. Take out the cutting wheel, then reinstall the outside collar and jam nut. Store cutting wheels on a flat, rigid surface away from excessive heat or moisture. Ensure they are not kept in areas exposed to high humidity, water, other liquids, or freezing temperatures.